I'm fine. I'm fine. I just sometimes I start the stream and then like my brain just like falls out of my ear. And I have no clue why. This is, by the way, the whole point for like stuff like intros and stuff like that is so that you have like something to like sort of ground yourself into the situation. Which is why when I start like the Access streams, it's always like, hello, welcome to, you know, this week's or this Thursday's weekly Access stream. My name is Sammy and we're gonna do this. It's like you throw it out every single time, not because it's a cliche, but rather like it gets your brain going. I was a writer, like I wrote like that too, actually. I had a really, like, a lot of the times when I was writing, I would have a lot of trouble starting, but never any difficulty after that. Like I would have some difficulty like getting words out of my head, but once words started flowing out, it was like a wine bottle, right? Like once the corks, it's tough to take the cork off, but once you take the cork off, like all of it falls out fine. That's how I was as a writer. So actually I'll do like 5 more minutes of like random talk because this is on the top of my head and it's helping me do the intro thing that I was talking about a second ago. So one of the things I do when I like for learning Japanese is, or I should say in general, like learning anything is going to be easier once you like it, right? And the problem with a lot of times where people transition from liking something into learning something, or trying to get better at it or something like that, right, is that they transition into it so strongly that it no longer becomes fun. It becomes like a job, right? And one of the things I always sought out to do as a language learner, because this is my first time like really diving into learning a language, one of the things I really wanted to focus on as a language learner was I wanted to make sure to keep it fun for me. I never wanted it to feel like work at any given point. And I didn't care how much I learned in any given day, as long as I learned something, right? And so there's like 2 ways of learning in terms of like a philosophy. It's like a top-down or a bottom-up way. Top-down would be like looking at stuff, looking at material, and then trying to discern what it is by going backwards. So it's like you say like you see a character like start running and they yell "Ike!" Like you assume like it means something like run forward or go or something like that, right? The opposite would be bottom up, which would be like you learn the word like "Ike" or "Ikuzo" or something like that, and then you hear it in like an anime or like a show or a drama or something like that, and then you be like, oh, that's it, he's running now. Like this is how people use it. So it's both ways work very well, but the idea is to work both ways. That's sort of my goal. So there's 2 philosophies normally. I'm trying to go for something in the middle where I do a lot of things like learning vocab and grammar and stuff like that, but I also do stuff like, you know, listen to music or listen to voice actors or watch anime or something like that and try to like break it from the top down. And sort of I'm always like approaching, sort of like, squeeze there. I'm always trying to approach it from both ends, so that way there's a little, because the bottom up will maybe give you a more dictionary definition of how everything works, but rather it might give you a little bit, it might give you a little bit more difficulty for learning like naturally, right? It might give you a little bit more difficulty. Like I started way more bottom up first and like just doing flashcards and stuff like that. So my hearing prowess is like really bad. I am so bad at hearing people. But the opposite maybe keeps you from learning like, you know, like the true ins and outs of words, but it helps you like learn a little bit more naturally. AKA this is generally how humans learned language when they were younger, when they were babies, right? You hear words and you give them associations over and over and over again, and you constantly rewrite or reaffirm those associations over and over and over again until you eventually learn what it words. So you hear your mom say mama to you over and over and over again, you eventually comprehend that that's mom. Um, so trying to approach it from both ends is sort of what I'm trying to do. And so music is, and so the tying it back to the fun thing, music is a really, really fun way to do that. Because I love music. Like, I listen to music literally all the time. If I'm not listening to, like, if I'm not watching match videos or doing some sort of other thing where I need to use my ears, I'm listening to music. I love music, so it's a good way for me to. But I never dive too hard into learning any song. So what I do is, like, I'll listen to a song and I'll see how much I can pick out of it, and then, like, you kind of just drop it afterwards. If you sit there and you, like, scrutinize, you can use songs like this. You can sit and scrutinize every single word and learn, oh, I don't know that word, and you write it down, you make a flashcard. Like, that's definitely a good way to learn stuff. But, like, keep making music this thing where you're trying to practice how they say words and learn how words can be bent and changed a little bit for rhyming purposes, and how they get used, especially for songs specifically, because songs end up using words way more liberally, right? There's a lot of metaphors and synonyms and stuff like that used in order for you to create a song that still rhymes or still sounds good or still fits within the bars, but has the message that you're trying to move along, right? And Japanese actually is, like, really, really interesting in that regard in terms of music, because there's parts there's like there's parts where they will, like, not sound some sounds or shorten some sounds, and there's times where they're they there's times where they won't. Like, you can say, like, for shimai, you can say shimai to get, like, 3 beats out of it, or you can say shimai and then you get 2, right? I thought that's, like, but, like, listening to it, you have, like, getting good at listening to Japanese or listening to any language is knowing that shimai and shimai are the same word. That stuff's really hard, in my opinion. How's it going, Mandar? You didn't miss anything. I'm just ranting because my brain stopped working.